Greetings, everyone. Today we're going to do a walkthrough of Devil in the Wilderness. We're going to cover turns 1 and 2. So sit back, enjoy, and here we go. When it's your turn, the first thing you want to do is draw an objective card. So what you do here is you check that objective card checkbox and click Draw Card. And then you will get an objective card appear on the screen. So then you would basically just do what the objective tells you to do. And then place whatever objects you need on the board and whatever else needs to be done. And then you hang on to this card. So you would hold this card in your hand. So the witch hunter's objective is to give the witch 6 tokens that the witch is going to place somewhere on the board. And your objective is to get those tokens. Now, 3 of them are treasures, which allow you to pick up an item card, and 3 of them are traps, which what that does is give the witches the ability to pick up an item card at that point in time. So you potentially could be giving them a free item card, or you're getting the item card that you need. So once you hit those 3 tokens that are the treasures, and once you get the 3 items that you've pulled for those treasures, then you've hit your objectives for the game. And it's really that simple. We have a sheet on our website that has the treasure tokens and the trap tokens, but you can certainly make nicer ones on your own. You would want to use you would want something to be double-sided, so the back side that was facing down on the board would be treasure or trap, and the top side would be witch or witch hunter, so that if both sides get the same objectives, then you would be able to tell whose tokens were whose. And that's about it. So let's move on to the next step. The next thing you want to do is draw a location card. So what you would do is you would choose the location from the drop down and then click draw card, and this will tell you where the location is that you're going to be starting your warband. So whatever you have for starting members of your warband would start in this location. The witch hunters are starting the town square, so you would discard the location card and place your 3 miniatures in the town square to start the game. The next thing you want to do is roll your leader activations. So you would click the roll activation button, and that would give you a number of activations that you can have. You get 2 free for your overall leader, and then 1 freebie for each of your other leaders that you have for each of your other witch hunters that you have in your faction. So you're at least going to be able to move 2 of them in this turn, and possibly 1, and be able to do move 2 fully and move 1, at least a movement. So then the next thing you want to do is you want to draw your cards up to 5 cards in your hand and 1 objective. So you can draw up to 2 item cards in your first turn, and then you would draw your remaining 3 cards. So the next step is to activate your characters and actually move them or search or shoot or go into melee or what have you. So the witch hunters have decided to run, so they're going to do no other activation but running. So you're going to roll 3 d10s, and it's 4 inches plus a d10 for movement. So that's what we're doing next. We're moving them in. So we've measured, and we're moving them up the street. So the witches are going to do the same thing. They're going to choose their objectives. They're going to set up their objectives. They're going to draw their location. Place their warband in that location. They're going to roll their leader activations and draw their cards for their hand. Then they're going to start playing their cards. The first card that they've decided to play is going to be to summon a werewolf. So they're going to roll their dice, and they've rolled and they've succeeded, so they got their successful die roll. So now they're going to go and they're going to add the character to their roster. So they click the Add Character button, and then from the drop down, they're going to choose the werewolf, and then they're going to set the number. The number doesn't matter, like I've mentioned before in previous videos. The number is more so on the screen, or you can mark each one with a number. That's what we found to be the best system, so that people that haven't played before can actually figure out who's who. So when they add them, they're just going to add tooth and claw and no shooting weapons, and then you'll see that they are on the list. And there he is, the werewolf. The next thing they're going to do is move their characters. So they're going to roll 4 dice to see how far they can run, because they've decided to run the witches and the werewolves and the ghost witches and what have you. So they're going to run. And now we're taking the measurements and we're making the run movement here. Typically what you want to do here is you want to, if you're trying to keep your warband together, because there is a command radius, you want to take usually the worst roll that you had and kind of keep everybody together and kind of work them that way. So that's what we're doing here. We're just adjusting. We didn't take the full movement, obviously, because a few people only could have moved 8 or 9 inches and some could have moved 12 plus. So that's what we did here. And that was end of turn. So now what you want to do is whoever the GM is wants to click on roster, and then they go to GM, and then they click on new turn. And then from there, they're going to come to this screen where they're going to be able to choose or whose objectives were completed. In this case, no one's objectives were. So they're going to select no, and they're going to hit new turn. And then at that point, it's going to show this. You'll come back to the screen where you'll be able to see the game stats. If you click game stats, you can see that it's turn number 2, and the turn level stayed at 4. Which has got initiative. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to draw. They're going to draw up to their hand, and they're going to roll for their leader activations. Next, they're going to play a spell card called See Into the Future. So from that card, they drew their 2 cards, and neither one of them was a spell. So now they're over their hands. They need to discard 1 card. So they're discarding Potion of Fog. Next, they're going to play a recruit card that adds 3 Malice to their roster to help them in their fight. Just like before, they add them to their roster, and they come with a default of a tomahawk and a musket. You can now see them on the roster page. Next, they play the Angry Mob event card, and they lose, so they get attacked. The opposing player will add these characters to their roster so that they can handle them in melee, but they will not control them. These characters will move at the end of each turn. Because the card triggered an immediate attack, the townfolk are going to attack. So the opposing player will go into character details for that character, and he will click improvised weapon so that he can trigger the weapon and figure out what the calculation is going to be. In the improvised weapon screen, you choose your target, and then you click calculate. Then it will tell you what you need to roll in order to hit the other character. So you would hit the die roller, roll the die, and then they would go to their screen and they would actually go in and so your target would go into their screen and they would be able to hit the number that you rolled, and it would adjust their hit points accordingly. After the melee was rolled for each of these characters, you can now see what hits they took. There was 6 characters total that were in melee. Both sides fight, so it's an opposing force, but it happens at the same time, so no less damage is taken from either side. Now it's the Witch Hunter's turn, and he's going to roll his leader activations and draw his hand up to the 9 cards plus the 1 objective card. You don't redraw the objective card, though. The witch hunters have decided to play a recruit card, so you're going to add 3 militia to the roster just like you added the milice to the roster for the witches. And now it's time for character activations, and Reverend Mather goes first, and he triggers a trap. So with this trap, like I explained in the beginning, he's going to allow the witches to draw a free item card. Next, the militia are going to shoot at some milice and Reverend Burrows on the opposing side, on the opposite side of that blockhouse. So the first thing we do is measure the distance between the two so that we can enter that into the application to get the proper values to be able to roll. You also want to make sure that you mark them with smoke so that the next turn you know that they need to reload and they aren't able to shoot the next turn. So you go into each character and choose their ranged weapon, and once you click that button it brings you to this screen, and then you're going to choose your range, which you just measured, cover if there is any, in this case it's open, and who your target is. Each one needs to be calculated individually. Then you get the result of what you need to roll on the die roller. You need that number or higher to be able to hit. Then the target player goes in, looks at the die roll that you did, and they hit the corresponding number on the number pad. Now you can see the results of the shooting attack for the 3 players that attack the 3 targets. And that's the end of this turn. Turn 3 is going to be an abridged turn. It's basically just going to show you the search functionality. That was the only thing that I wasn't able to show you in turn 1 and 2. So we're basically just going to show you that here. Reverend Mather has decided he's going to go to the blockhouse and he's going to search for the bishop's amulet. So what he's going to do is show up at that house in a single move and then be able to do a search application. And the way the search works is you're going to you're going to choose the blockhouse and you're going to select hit draw card. And on the card draw, it indicated you found the item. So now you hold this card in your hand and you're able to use that item card as it was intended. Let's assume that you didn't get that card though, and you actually draw an event card when you drew that blockhouse. You wouldn't get the item at this point yet. You would have to do it again, and an event would happen. So in this case, you found nothing, and an event happens where there's a wolf that shows up at a location. The location that they're going to show up at is going to be the town square, and so you'll put a wolf in the town square, and it's going to move towards the nearest character. And that's it for our demo playthrough. I hope you all enjoyed it.